Under the bright flashes of cameras and the weight of millions of eyes watching, Lee Minho, South Korea's beloved superstar, did something no one expected. During a live broadcast meant to celebrate his latest project, the actor, known for his composed demeanor and charming smile, broke down in tears. For a man who has spent years building an image of confidence and calm, the sight was shocking. Fans froze, reporters gasped, and social media erupted. But what came after, his emotional confession, has now become one of the most heartfelt moments in Korean entertainment history. For over a decade, Lee Minho has been a symbol of perfection, the golden boy of K-dramas, the face that defined the Hallyu wave. From Boys Over Flowers to the King, Eternal Monarch, he has embodied roles that made millions believe in fairy tale love again. Yet behind the glitz, behind the award-winning performances and carefully curated smiles, there was a truth he'd been hiding, a secret that even his closest friends didn't know. And when he finally let it out, the world stopped to listen. As the cameras rolled, Lee Minho paused mid-sentence. His voice trembled slightly, his hands shook, and for a moment, he couldn't speak. The silence in the room was heavy, almost sacred. Then, in a tone raw with vulnerability, he said, "For years, I've lived like a character, but I forgot how to live as myself." Tears streamed down his face, and for the first time, fans saw the man behind the legend, a man who had been silently carrying pain while making the world smile. He began to explain how fame, though beautiful, came with invisible chains. "People see the glamour," he said, "but they don't see the loneliness." Since his meteoric rise to fame in 2009, his life has been a whirlwind of constant filming, public appearances, and expectations. The world saw Lee Minho, the star, not Lee Minho, the person. Every interview, every smile, every wave was part of a performance he could no longer separate from his identity. He confessed that there were times he questioned his purpose, wondering if people loved him for who he truly was or simply for the image they had built around him. "It's like living behind glass," he continued, his voice breaking again. "Everyone sees you, but no one really knows you." For years, he endured it silently. But it wasn't just the emotional weight of fame that haunted him. What he revealed next shocked everyone, a deeply personal experience he had kept hidden since his early 20s. After his car accident in 2006, many believed he had fully recovered and returned to normal life. But he revealed that the physical and emotional scars from that incident stayed with him far longer than anyone realized. "I was told to be strong," he said softly. "So, I acted like I was. But deep inside, I was terrified of losing everything again." The confession painted a picture of a man who had spent years battling his own fears while being forced to maintain perfection in the public eye. He admitted that he often cried alone at night, overwhelmed by the pressure to live up to everyone's expectations. "I didn't even recognize myself in the mirror anymore," he said. "I became a stranger in my own story." What truly broke fans' hearts, however, was when he revealed how his closest relationship suffered. The constant need to maintain privacy, the fear of scandals, and the inability to trust people made him withdraw emotionally. "I pushed people away before they could hurt me," he admitted. "That's the kind of person fame turned me into." He spoke of how, even during moments that should have brought joy, like winning awards or traveling abroad for fan meetings, he felt an emptiness inside. "I'd smile on stage, and the crowd would scream my name," he recalled. "But when I returned to my hotel room, there was silence. That silence was louder than anything I had ever heard." As his tears fell, the audience, both in the studio and online, were moved to their own tears. Many fans took to social media to express their love and support, flooding hashtags like #WeLoveYouLeeMinho and #YouAreNotAloneMinho. Within hours, his name trended worldwide. People who had admired him for years finally saw the truth, that behind the glamour and perfection was a man who had been quietly fighting battles none of them knew existed. He went on to explain that this moment of confession wasn't planned. It came from a place of exhaustion, but also from healing. "I've spent so much of my life pretending to be okay," he said, "but I realized that true strength isn't hiding your pain. It's facing it. He revealed that over the past few years, he had been in therapy, something he had kept secret due to stigma. In Korea, people still see mental health as a weakness, he said. But it's not. It's human. His statement was met with thunderous applause. Many praised him for breaking cultural barriers and opening up a conversation that so many avoid. What followed his emotional revelation was a wave of compassion. Celebrities, co-stars, and even directors who had worked with him over the years shared messages of admiration for his courage. Kim Go-eun, his co-star from The King, Eternal Monarch, wrote on her social media, "It takes real strength to show your tears. Proud of you, Appa." Even international stars who had met him during global events expressed support, proving that his honesty had touched hearts beyond borders. He continued by sharing how reconnecting with himself changed his perspective on acting. "Before, I acted to impress. Now I act to express," he said. "Every role I take now is not about fame, but about truth." His words reflected a man reborn, someone who had rediscovered meaning in his craft. Lee Minho then spoke of how he wanted to use his platform to help others who felt trapped behind their own masks. He mentioned launching a foundation that would focus on mental health awareness for young artists and fans alike. "If my story can give just one person hope, then it's worth sharing," he said with a trembling smile. What made his revelation even more touching was his gratitude toward his fans. He described them as the reason he survived his darkest times. "There were days I thought I couldn't go on," he said, "but I'd see messages from fans saying how my dramas helped them smile again, and that gave me strength." He took a deep breath, looking directly into the camera, and said, "I want to live now, not as Lee Minho, the actor, but as Lee Minho, the man. The one who laughs, cries, fails, and stands up again." The statement was simple yet powerful. It reminded everyone that even idols, no matter how perfect they seem, are human. They have hearts that break, minds that tire, and souls that crave peace. His words became a mirror for millions who had also been hiding behind their own facades, pretending to be fine while battling inner storms. As the broadcast ended, reporters described the atmosphere as spiritually heavy but healing. For days, the confession dominated headlines across Asia. Fans created tribute videos, sharing his most touching scenes alongside his heartfelt words. Others shared personal stories about how his courage inspired them to seek help for their own struggles. Even entertainment critics who had long analyzed his career agreed that this moment marked a turning point. Lee Min-ho didn't just reveal a secret, one wrote. He revealed a truth, that vulnerability is not weakness, but beauty. Behind the tears, there was also relief. For Lee Min-ho, the confession was not just an ending but a beginning. "I feel lighter now," he told one interviewer afterward. "Like I can finally breathe." He expressed his desire to take on more meaningful projects, films and dramas that reflect real emotions rather than idealized perfection. He also hinted at a personal project, a book he has been secretly writing for years, documenting his journey from a shy teenager dreaming of acting to a man rediscovering himself after fame nearly consumed him. "It's not a biography," he explained. "It's a letter to my younger self, the boy who thought he had to be perfect to be loved." As fans eagerly await that book and his future works, one thing is certain. Lee Min-ho's legacy has evolved. He is no longer just the handsome face that defined a generation of K-dramas. He's a symbol of honesty, resilience, and self-acceptance. In a world obsessed with perfection, his tears reminded everyone that even stars bleed, and even heroes break. But it's in breaking that we find the courage to rebuild, stronger, freer, and truer to ourselves. That night, as the lights dimmed and the broadcast came to a close, Lee Min-ho smiled through his tears and whispered softly, "Thank you for letting me be human." It was a simple statement, yet it echoed across hearts worldwide, a reminder that sometimes the bravest thing we can ever do is simply tell the truth about who we are. And for Lee Min-ho, that truth has finally set him free. The world is still reeling from Lee Min-ho's emotional confession. Days have passed since his tearful revelation, yet fans can't seem to stop talking about it. The internet remains flooded with heartfelt reactions, emotional edits, and countless reflections on what the actor's vulnerability means for the world of Korean entertainment. It's not just a celebrity story anymore. It's a wake-up call, a mirror to the silent battles many people face behind the masks of perfection. And as the echoes of his words continue to travel across continents, a new chapter is quietly unfolding, one that goes beyond fame, spotlight, and scripts. Lee Minho's courage to bare his soul has sparked something profound within the hearts of millions. People who once viewed him only as an idol now see him as a human being, fragile yet strong, broken yet unafraid to rebuild. Fans from around the world have started sharing their own stories online, tales of loneliness, burnout, and the pressures of always pretending to be okay. His confession didn't just inspire sympathy, it inspired honesty. A fan from Brazil wrote, "Lee Minho showed us that even the strongest people have moments of weakness. It made me realize it's okay to cry, to admit you're not fine." Another from the Philippines shared, "I've been battling anxiety for years, and hearing him talk about therapy made me feel less ashamed." In Japan, several fan communities began fundraising to support mental health organizations, dedicating their campaigns to Lee Minho's message. What began as a celebrity revelation has transformed into a global conversation, and perhaps a revolution of emotional openness. But what's most fascinating is how his revelation has changed the way people view Korean stars altogether. The K-drama industry, often built on perfection and discipline, rarely shows vulnerability. Behind those flawless performances and dazzling press photos lies a culture of constant scrutiny, where one misstep can lead to public criticism or even career destruction. Lee Minho's decision to speak up shattered that silence. It proved that vulnerability could coexist with strength, and that admitting your pain doesn't erase your power, it amplifies it. Industry insiders have begun discussing what they call the Lee Minho effect. Since his tearful confession, several actors and idols have opened up about their struggles. A popular singer recently admitted on her live stream that she too had been secretly seeing a therapist, inspired by his words. Another actor posted that Lee Minho's courage gave him the strength to be honest with himself for the first time. It's incredible to witness, a ripple of honesty spreading through an industry long defined by control. Meanwhile, Lee Minho himself has stayed mostly out of the spotlight since that emotional broadcast. His agency released a brief statement thanking fans for their unwavering support, explaining that he is taking some time off to rest and reflect. But sources close to him revealed that he's currently working on a deeply personal project, one that will redefine how fans see him not just as an actor, but as a storyteller of truth. Rumors suggest he's developing a documentary that chronicles his journey from stardom to self-discovery, including behind-the-scenes moments of the struggles he once hid. Others say he's collaborating with mental health advocates to produce a series that focuses on emotional wellness among youth. Whatever the truth is, one thing's certain, Lee Minho is entering a new era, one defined by authenticity rather than image. And for those who have followed his career since the beginning, this transformation feels both inspiring and intimate. It's as though the walls between star and fan have crumbled, replaced by something far more meaningful: connection. Fans no longer just admire him, they relate to him. They see their own reflections in his words. But beyond the fame, beyond the tears, lies a bigger question: what happens next? How can this moment of truth become a lasting movement, not just for Lee Minho, but for all who have suffered in silence? That's where we come in, as fans, as storytellers, and as a community that believes in healing through honesty. And that's why at Midnight in Seoul, we're not just covering this story, we're continuing it. Our mission has always been to explore the human side of K-drama stars, the emotions behind the elegance, the truth behind the fame. And now, more than ever, it feels vital to keep the conversation alive. At Midnight in Seoul, we believe stories like Lee Minho's can change lives. They remind us that no matter how perfect someone seems on screen, everyone has scars that deserve to be seen with compassion, not judgment. Our team has followed Lee Minho's journey from his earliest roles to this moment of self-revelation, and we know his story isn't over. It's evolving, and so are we. We're inviting all K-drama fans, lovers of authenticity, and those who've ever felt unseen to join us. Subscribe to Midnight in Seoul on YouTube, not just to stay updated on the latest in Korean entertainment, but to be part of a movement that celebrates truth over perfection. Each week, we dive into stories that peel back the layers of fame to reveal the beating hearts behind the faces we adore. Imagine hearing exclusive insights about Lee Minho's upcoming projects, watching deep-dive documentaries about the emotional journeys of your favorite stars, and experiencing the raw beauty of Korean storytelling in ways you've never seen before. That's what Midnight in Seoul stands for: connection, compassion, and community through the lens of K-drama. Lee Minho's tears weren't just a breakdown. They were a breakthrough. They reminded us that the brightest lights often come from the deepest darkness. His courage is a message to every fan who hides behind their own invisible walls. You are not alone. And at Midnight in Seoul, we'll keep telling these stories, because every heart deserves to be heard. As fans continue to send messages of love and support, one can't help but imagine how differently the entertainment world could look if more stars embraced this kind of honesty. What if vulnerability became the new definition of strength? What if fans and celebrities could finally connect beyond the filters and the fame, just human to human? That vision, raw, emotional, and real, is what we strive to capture at Midnight in Seoul. Because somewhere between the bright lights of Seoul and the quiet hours past midnight, there's truth, the kind that heals. Lee Minho's confession may have begun as a moment of heartbreak, but it's quickly turning into a story of hope. And as his fans, we have a chance to carry that hope forward. Whether it's by speaking openly about our own struggles, supporting others through kindness, or simply choosing empathy over gossip, we can honor his courage by mirroring it in our own lives. There's something poetic about this transformation. For years, Lee Minho played characters who saved others: the charming hero, the loyal lover, the one who always finds a way to make things right. But this time, by saving himself, he's saving countless others. His tears became a lifeline for fans who needed to be reminded that it's okay to not be okay. And maybe that's the real power of storytelling: not to escape life, but to understand it better. K-dramas have always been known for their emotional depth, their ability to make us cry, laugh, and dream. But when those emotions step off screen and into real life, something magical happens. Reality and fiction blend into something more human, more healing. So, as we continue to follow Lee Minho's journey, wherever it leads, let's remember that this isn't just about a celebrity's secret. It's about rediscovering humanity in a world that often forgets it. It's about breaking the silence, embracing vulnerability, and celebrating authenticity in all its messy beauty. If you've been touched by Lee Minho's story, if his courage made you reflect, cry, or simply breathe easier knowing even stars have struggles, then come join us. Subscribe, share, and be part of the Midnight in Seoul family. Together, we'll keep shining light on the truths that deserve to be told, one heartfelt story at a time. Because when the world goes quiet and the lights of Seoul fade into the night, there's still one place where stories like his continue to live. Not in gossip columns or headlines, but in the hearts of those who believe in real, raw emotion. And that place is Midnight in Seoul, where every story finds its soul. In the end, Lee Minho's secret wasn't about weakness. It was about courage, the courage to be real. And maybe, just maybe, that's the message the world needed right now. So let's honor it, together, and keep his light burning through every story we tell. After all, the night is darkest before dawn, and at Midnight in Seoul, that's exactly where the light begins. If Lee Minho's story moved you, don't just scroll past. Subscribe to Midnight in Seoul on YouTube for more emotional, inspiring, and deeply human stories from the world of K-dramas. Let's celebrate vulnerability, truth, and the stars who dare to be real. Join the family today, because at Midnight in Seoul, every heartbeat tells a story worth hearing.